Hello, ni hao. Welcome to Mandarin Mama Chit Chat by Mandarin Together, where two Taiwanese moms, Trista and Yaoyao, share their experiences in raising bilingual children, exploring identity, code switching, and embracing the joys and challenges of bilingual parenting. Come along with us on this exciting journey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, I'm going to take a moment and just talk about mindset and feeling. This is our second recording with Trista. I have Trista here. When we did our first episode, I was really nervous. I'm still nervous right now. And when I was doing the edit for the first episode, I was not great. I spent hours editing myself. But Trista, you were great. Almost false. I barely edit anything out of you. So I was thinking in my head, like maybe I can just be here to assist. We'll have Trista talk majority of time. So if you listen to our first episode and you're still here, I love you and thank you for being here. Let's be friends. So, like I was mentioning in our first episode, I wasn't a great student. So if I can say my Mandarin from 1 to 10 is number 8, 7 or 8, I feel like my English is like a 5. And now I'm doing this podcast with Trista in English. Oh my gosh, like it's very uncomfortable. And I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm actually really uncomfortable right now. So when I speak, I get nervous, anxious, or sometimes I feel like when I converse in English with someone, oh, I made a mistake, or I think I just said the wrong grammar there, or I don't know what vocabulary to use in this context. So I feel like if you're learning Mandarin right now, maybe you have the same feeling. If you speaking to your kids, you're very uncomfortable, you feel really awkward and weird, or if you try to speak Mandarin to your friends and family, you feel like, oh, maybe they'll judge me, maybe I'll make a mistake. And that's exactly how I feel right now. But I do believe from being uncomfortable, that's where the growth is. That's how we grow, right? That for being uncomfortable, kind of push yourself. And that's like everything in life as well. Just you can't just be comfortable all the time. It's like I don't like to work out. I don't like to exercise. It's uncomfortable, but that's where we build the muscle. So that's same with everything. Learning a new language, doing things that's uncomfortable, and just help us growth. For example, I was thinking about you, Trista. Trista is well capable of teaching her kids Mandarin. She is a teacher for 8 years. But she did mention from the last episode that she feels awkward speaking Mandarin with her kids because the family setting, her husband, or the community, because she feels really uncomfortable. So that's something that we can work on together, kind of like a mindset thing. So I just want to encourage everyone, let's be uncomfortable together within this journey and do this together.
Yes, I totally agree. It was very heartfelt, and thank you for sharing that with us. I would say when I first came to the States, I learned English when I was in Taiwan, but it was nowhere near being fluent. And I came here when I was in high school, the high school dynamics, right? There were cliques, small groups, other high school drama, me coming in as an outsider with limited English proficiency, had no friends, no family nearby. I definitely feel very alone. And for sure, it was very uncomfortable. I get self conscious a lot. I make a lot of mistakes, or I would say embarrass myself through mispronouncing things. But eventually, I learned if I want to master this language, I want to master English, I need to embrace the uncomfortable. I need to, when I make mistakes, I don't let it get to me, right? Laugh at it, joke about it, make fun of myself. I don't know, embrace it, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I really love this powerful message that Yaoyao delivered because for some reason, being an English learner, it never, I never associate this experience with me teaching my kids Mandarin.
Mhm.
Yes, it's uncomfortable. And I feel because I guess because then I wanted to fit in to the society. I guess I'm on the different side of it. I want to fit in a society. English. I had to learn English because I didn't learn English. If I don't know how to speak English, I couldn't get around places. I could not navigate. I cannot build a life here in America. And now I'm the other side. I'm in an English speaking country society. And it's just so much easier to run away from speaking Mandarin, right? Because I don't need, I mean, to be honest, I don't need, my kids don't need to speak Mandarin to be able to thrive in the society. But what is the why and the reason we want to teach our kids Mandarin is the culture, is want to connect them to my family back in Taiwan. It is the values and beliefs I carry that who I am. And I really appreciate this message because now when I feel uncomfortable, instead of running away and escaping from it, feeling awkward, I need to remind myself how I embrace uncomfortable, how I fought it through when I first came here and transfer that, I guess, resilience, perseverance to me teaching my kids Mandarin. So yeah, I think that would just
Yeah, I was just about to get to that point too. Asking ourselves why. What is your why of teaching your kids Mandarin or the culture? And I'm pretty sure most of us have the same why. Like if we have, let's say, grandparents or mom and dad in Asia, Mandarin speaking country, I mean, that's okay. Let me say my why first. That's my why because I simply want my kids to converse with my grandparents and my mom and my family in Taiwan. And second reason can be selfish because I feel like I'm rooted in Taiwan and I love the culture. I still feel I'm very part of it. And I want them to like what I like. I want them to like where I came from. I want them to like the food from my hometown. I want them to like the street, the busyness, all the building, all the fun stuff there. I want them to like it. And I feel like the reason I want them to like it because I want to have deepen relationship with them. I feel like that we can connect even deeper if
part
they
of you.
love.
This is a part of you. If you don't share the culture with them, they only have partial of you.
Yeah. It's like so I was imagining it's watching a movie and I love this one movie. I love it. I love it. And I'm sharing this movie with my best friend. And she said, "Oh, I hate this movie." And I'll be disappointed because I can't share all the detail in this movie or all the character. I cannot have that discussion with my best friend because she hates it. She don't want to hear about it. I know it's a kind of a different scenario, but it's kind of like that. That's another reason I want them to love, and I'll say the language is kind of the bridge, right? The culture. And that's my why. And we all have the different goal too. Some of us want them to, you have to know how to read, how to write, how to speak, right? We all have different goal, but if we can know, like, why are we doing this? Maybe it's for their future. They'll have better opportunity when they're older. Maybe it's connecting with the family back in Asia. So just get to know your why.
Mhm.
I think will help us along the way when we are feeling discouraged or feel, awkward or uncomfortable. Kind of go back to, okay, why am I doing this? Yeah.
Right. I guess that brings to the mindset, right? Because sometimes when we have a goal, it's really easy to get stuck and get into the rabbit hole of, oh, I need to accomplish this, right? And I need to, oh, my kids isn't on board. My kids aren't really learning Mandarin as fast as I want them to be. But I think it's also important to remind you your why. Your why is to connect with your kids. Your why is you want them to be able to appreciate the culture that you also adore. So if that is the reason, then shouldn't get fixated on their proficiency per se, the accuracy. As long as you guys are having fun, enjoying things together, it could be the language, could be the culture, could be making a simple dish, could be a culture story, could be celebrating a festival, and all of these, because I am not good at it. I am a go-getter. I'm a type A person. And for me, I feel I have to check the boxes. I always have a long to-do list. I have all these goals I need to accomplish. And I find myself get stressed out and get lost among all the goals. And so actually now I'm pouring my heart out. It's um I feel vulnerable for sharing this because I have so much anxiety. I have so much mom guilt. But I want to say this so I can hear it and you guys hear it too, is when you have the reason why and you it's not the goals that you are, I guess the goals can be flexible, right? And as long as you guys are like, don't lose sight of the enjoyment, the excitement that you guys are sharing time together. And I guess that's what I want to
Yeah,
say.
because it's more learning a language is more of building relationship. I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
not doing all the drills. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so here's a good moment. I can share a little bit of my story, my journey teaching my I'm gonna say my daughter because she's the oldest and I have a son. Her name is Millie. My son's name is Jace. You know, when it comes to second one, you kind of like slacking. So I have more story of my daughter. So you guys are gonna hear more story of Millie than Jace. So when she was 5 years old, you know what? When she was born, I was really adamant. I'm gonna teach her Mandarin. She'll be able to read. I'm not so sure about writing, but I'm gonna teach her the simple 注音符号. Okay, so she will be able to read and this and that. Big goal. So I go back to Taiwan every year and I'll bring back tons of books. I think I have about a bookshelf of like an IKEA shelf of Mandarin books. So I go back every year. That's all I bring back. And I'll bring those DVD or like magazine. And when she started kindergarten, I have a drill. I bought those Sage books with all the flashcards. Every day when she come home from school, she was so little, like 5. I was so mean. She'll be eating her snack and I'm like, okay, it's time for Chinese lesson. And we'll do like I have all the flashcards, right? And I think that was my biggest mistake. I didn't make it fun. And I was very, like Trista, you were saying earlier, anxious because I have a goal. Every day, 5 vocabularies or 5 to 10 vocabularies. You need to complete, you need to know this book, Sage book, by end of this week. There were a lot of crying. It
Yeah.
was so stressful. There were so much crying and yelling. So, for example, I'll have that 5 flashcards. And okay, Millie, this is 1. Okay, this is 2. Okay, this is 3. Okay, what's this one? She said, I don't know. I said, oh my gosh, I literally just said it 0.5 seconds ago. Now you forgot this word? So just a lot of that in her kindergarten year. So I didn't really make it enjoyable. I think that's a mistake and that's not good for our relationship at all. She doesn't look forward coming home from school because it's going to be another Mandarin drill. Yeah.
But that was definitely a lesson learned, right? So I
Yes.
think it's good that I mean, the fact that you did it and you knew how unbearable it was, how stressful it was for both you and Millie. Now that you're a better mom and you are a better teacher, Mandarin teacher to her too, because, and then you learn from that. So you are not doing the same thing to your son, which lucky him.
Yeah. Well, now my goal is as long they can converse, I'm happy.
Right.
Because I hired a Chinese tutor too, and they don't like doing Chinese homework because they have to write a lot of. And hey, we all have different goals.
Right.
I am jealous of you if your kids know how to read and write Mandarin. Okay, so for me right now, I just don't want to get that resistance from them.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to speak as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I want to share, if you are non-fluent and you're teaching your kids or learning alongside with your kids Mandarin, I want to say, like from what we were sharing earlier, let's take baby steps instead of setting like huge goal like what I did years ago. How about we take baby steps? There's a book I read, I don't know if you know, it's called Atomic Bomb. It's talking about habit from James Clear. It's just, you heard of it, Trista?
Yes, I have. I've never read it, but yeah.
Okay.
Right. Cool.
So this book is talking about habit. How do you build habit? So usually it takes 90 days to build a habit. In
Mm-hmm.
one of the section, it was talking about habit stacking. So I thought this we can use that to learn a new language too. So what is habit stacking? So just a example, a silly one. You brush your teeth every day. We brush our teeth every day. That's our habit, right? We get up. Maybe that's one. The first for me, first thing I do, go brush my teeth. So let's say if I want to start doing jumping jacks, I want to add that in to my habit. Right after you brush your teeth, you do 5 jumping jacks, and you do that for 90 days. And it just becomes your habit. Okay, it's a silly example. So that's why it calls habit stacking. So whatever you are doing already, just stack it on top of it. So I feel like, let's say, if you're starting to teach your kids or learning alongside with your kids Mandarin, every morning we probably say good morning to our kids when we wake them up, or we say, hey, wake up, time for school, or something like that. When you say that, how about we add that Mandarin right after? So, good morning, 早安, 要上课喽, time to go to school. And that's it. That's it. Just start really small and just do that every day. And it might become a habit and second nature to you. And then add something else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing is, so I definitely try to speak Mandarin to my kids more now. Well, so I have a almost 4 year old and a 21 months old. 21 months old doesn't talk just yet, so it's a lot of language exposure. I'm not sure if Yaoyao's kids are the same way, but for my son, almost 4 years old, he understands when I speak Mandarin to him. I try to speak more Mandarin with him at home, but he doesn't speak back he only speaks back in English. He doesn't speak back in Mandarin. So it was frustrating and daunting to me at first. But kind of like what Yao Yao was saying, I guess it's turned into a habit. I know certain things, or like, hey, time to eat, get up, or go to school. All of these simple phrases, I speak them in Mandarin. And then one day, just out of blue, I was like, hey, do you know how to say good morning? I kind of test him and just wondering. And then he was able to say it. I was so surprised he's never said it in his entire life. So that's like the power of exposure, right? Sometimes you don't know, but these small actions, baby steps, do make an impact. They do hear it. They are learning. It just they might not. Maybe they feel self-conscious, or maybe they feel like there's no need for them to speak Mandarin. So now our little fun activity would be before bedtime. I would just point to different objects in his room and ask him what that was, like what how to say that. If he didn't know, he just asked me, hey, how do you say bed in Chinese? And I'll tell him that. And my son would turn around to my husband and say, hey, daddy, do you know how to say bed in Chinese? And then my son would tell my husband how to say that in Mandarin, which I make it a fun activity. My son feels like a sense of accomplishment that he's teaching daddy Mandarin. So, and my husband also liked it too. So he could learn alongside it, or just be very proud of my son's language growth. So is that right? Baby steps and just, small
Yeah.
action.
Yes. Set achievable goal. So we're
Mm-hmm.
not discouraged. When
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned about your son, your little ones, I
Yeah.
think it's a perfect age to learn too. Because
Mm-hmm.
just thinking back from 0 to 3, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only language she knows, Mandarin. She doesn't have much exposure of English environment. She did go to, I think when she was 2 years old, she went to a preschool. but
Mm.
only 3 days a week.
Mhm.
And her best friend goes to the same preschool with her, and she is also Taiwanese. And here's the funny part. They speak, girls like to speak, they like to chat, they talk about everything. Okay, she was three years old. I would say before kindergarten, it's Mandarin only.
Mm.
Um, the teacher will be calling me or telling me when I pick her up, um, Millie and Jillian, her friend is Jillian, they just talk too much and they speak Mandarin only. Okay, so I will have to separate them from sitting together. And would you please talk to them? Because when they speak Mandarin in class, all the other kids feel really exclusive. So please have that conversation with them. So I thought it was the funniest thing. I was actually so happy. I was like, yes, they're speaking Mandarin only. Um, hey, but that didn't last long. Okay, ever since they go to kinder, it's full time. They're in school 8 hours a day with teacher and friends. That's kind of, you're just losing that Mandarin skill. But when you mention your little one, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's the perfect age to absorb the
Mhm.
language. Yeah.
Immerse them in it.
And also, I want to share about environment. I feel like changing your environment is the fastest way to learn something or to change a habit, whatever it is. As an example, if you want to learn language, like you just you want if you want to learn Mandarin, just go back to Mandarin speaking country, right? Like how we learn English, we just came to US and just pick it up so quick. But of course, we can't just do that, just pick up and leave to another country. But that would be the fastest way. Let's say I'm gonna put up a sports scenario. If you want to be the best, you team up with the best team and you start adapting their culture, the norm, the energy, and you'll get better. So where I'm getting at is wherever you're at, your community, who you're hanging out with, is very important. That's your environment or your kids' environment. Are you hanging out with anybody speaking Mandarin, or do you have any Mandarin speaking friends that you can hang out with? Or do you have grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles that speak Mandarin that can kind of help you and your kids get that exposure? That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if they're not nearby with internet nowadays. So on the weekends, every Saturday and Sunday, when we're eating breakfast, I'll make sure to call my mom so they can at a dining table eating breakfast and just chit chat in Mandarin. So that's right. Yeah, I know it's hard sometimes, especially if you're in a community or a place that there's maybe nobody near you that speak Mandarin.
Hmm.
Then there are ways things to internet, right? You can FaceTime, you could video chat them. So, or find online communities and things like that. It's
Yeah.
not easy. It is not easy,
Yeah.
but if you really want it, or we are here for you as well. I think this is the one of the objectives and the goals for this podcast is we want to build a global community. We want to bring parents or caregivers together who are interested or in the journey of raising bilingual kids together and want to teach their kids or learn Mandarin alongside with the kids.
Yes. When I had my daughter, it really depends where you're from. I'm from Houston, Texas. That's where I live right now. I went up on the internet and looked for, I think, Meetup. And I just started meeting up people from Taiwan. I met one mom, and then we met more moms from library, Jamboree, and all that. So now I have this community. We've known each other since my daughter is 10 now, like 10 years. But we do have a big Asian community here in Houston. So it was much easier for me to find that community, I'll say. When my kids were younger, when we were doing play dates, that's all we speak. We, as parents, we speak Mandarin, and the kids, they'll speak Mandarin too. And of course, this is like 0 to 5. After that, like now when they hang out, they speak English.
Right. But at least
Yeah.
there's the cultural element still, they're still learning, right? When you're together or when they hear the parents converse in Mandarin, that's also an exposure too. It's not nothing.
Yes, and I agree. Go back to what you were saying earlier. That's why we started this podcast, kind of build out community. And if you guys have a topic, something you want to talk about, please let us know. We can, if we don't know, we'll find someone to come on and we'll have a discussion about it.
And then we'd love to hear your journey as well, your struggles, your successes, small wins, all of that. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow our Instagram. If you have any questions, email us at hello@mandarintogethernow.com. We also have free resources. We made this cute dim sum flashcard that you can play with your kids. Everything will be linked in the show notes, so go grab it. All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.